extinction level event, what can we do? Well, if already people have decided that there is an extinction level event, then there's not a lot that you can do, really. Because you've already decided that it's going to occur, that there it is. So you're fighting an uphill battle. So that's one answer. Another answer, which is probably more to the one that you want, is that, well, perhaps not immediately the one that you want, but let's hope that it gets to the one that you want. Humans have been on the precipice of extinction almost from the very beginning of their existence, because humans have this very special ability to look at another being, another human or another being, and see threat. And in that threat, they must annihilate. So, humans have always been on the precipice of extinction. But there is something that stops the human from actually going right over the edge of the precipice. They go right to it, they balance, they hover there, and then always they are pulled back. They're still on the precipice, but they are pulled back to an upright position. What your question is suggesting is that at that moment, both moments of the going, just hovering over the precipice and being pulled back, is not being controlled by the human. It's being controlled by they, in inverted commas, or they are the people who can speak to, if you like, the external DNA. And the internal DNA, just to differentiate, is what the human actually has control over, their internal DNA. But the external DNA can be activated and manipulated, but controlled by an external force, because it is itself external. Everything that we do with people, whether it's a large group or an individual, we always say to them, the only thing that you can work on is yourself. That's it. The only thing you can work on is yourself. So if you have this belief that there is an extinction level event in motion, and that you have two types of DNA, external and internal. External is being controlled, if you like, or can be accessed by those people who are in control of the event, whereas you are in control of your internal DNA. Then it says to us that the only thing you can work on to fight, if you like, or to stand up, to either stop this event or change the event to something that is more palatable, more developmental, more nourishing, then the only thing you can do is to work on your internal DNA. Now, when we talk of internal DNA, some people would look at that and see and think of the actual strands of DNA, right? That make us who we are physically and as a being. But we also mean that the development of the being that you are, right? The going through, looking at aspects of yourself, seeing how they fit into the world, how they fit in with you. Do they belong to you? Have they come down through my ancestors and been placed there, but it doesn't really fit into my world? I'm in a relationship and I don't like the way I am in that particular relationship. I'm not like that in the other relationships. So in that way, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to really open that up, and I'm going to face myself in that situation. So when we're talking about DNA, we're talking about the science version of DNA, but we're also talking about the development, the expansion, the completeness of the being that you are. And by going into that being, by really delving in and really pulling it apart and looking at all and laying it bare, that's the only way that you will actually gain control. And in that control will be the freedom of choice. The only way you will gain control over your internal DNA, the being that you are. Because the more you know, it's like anything in the world. The more you know, the more power you have, the more freedom you then gain. So if you are focusing just on these aspects of yourself, the things that are perhaps not allowing you to move forward in life, the things that trigger you, or you can see aspects of yourself triggered by certain words or events or people, looking at those things in the self that you don't particularly like about yourself and you want to change, looking at the things in yourself that other people don't particularly like, but you do, and saying, well, I'm going to keep them, they're there for a reason. But looking at all of those things really, really minutely and picking out, the strengths and the weaknesses, and making sure that the strengths are not overpowering other aspects of yourself, so that you're not becoming a full human being, you're just becoming that kind of human being. And that looking also at the weaknesses are not really those crushing, debilitating ones, but they can be a weakness, but they can be managed. They can be strengthened by the strengths, if you like. So, looking at an extinction level event, what can we do? As we said, if you already believe that that's an event, that that's going to happen, then to be perfectly frank, there is no hope, because you are fighting all the time. Fighting. If, on the other hand, you want to look at yourself and your own extinction level event, not the humanity's extinction level event, but your own extinction level event. What is the thing that is going to stop me from being who I am? Or what are the things that are stopping me from being who I am? The being that I can be, the full extent of my humanity, of the power that's within me, that resides within me, because the power that resides within you, that creates the DNA, that drives the DNA, where does that come from? Where does it come from? If you think about it like that, these people that are on the outside controlling your external DNA, have they just tapped into that power? Or do they know something else that we don't know? You can spend your time worrying about that and trying to fight that, or you can spend your time working out a way to tap into that power source that's actually powering your internal being, your internal attributes, the internal person that you are, the soul, whatever the word is that you feel comfortable with. And in that process of learning or finding a way, you are opening yourself out and you are really looking at yourself, laying yourself bare, and really knowing who you are and what you're capable of. Because most humans do not really know what they are actually capable of. They might have a thing. Oh, if somebody did that to me, I would do this to them. But when it comes down to it, they may not. They may do something worse. They may do nothing at all. Because these people do not really know what they're actually capable of. And by really going into the self, laying it bare, opening it out, and really getting a grip on what's there, what's good, what's not, what we can move on, what we want to keep, what we can strengthen, what we can sort of move away, then you are really gaining control over the inner processes of your being. And you are also finding the channel to the powering that is powering you internally. You are finding a channel to that. If you can access that, the external extinction level event really becomes a non-event. It's not meaningful to you. Whilst you are sitting here placing meaning on this extinction level event, it is becoming more and more and more meaningful. But you are the meaningful one. The internal processes, that's meaningful, not the external event, the internal event. That's what's meaningful to you. So we thank you so much for listening. We hope that you have heard something in there that helps you, triggers you to develop, to move forward, and to find your own peace inside, not outside. Many blessings to you.